Are we living in the Matrix or a simulation? Welcome back to the Brac Shop. This is the portal to the paranormal, the spiritual, and the unexplained. And I'm Tom from the shop. So, welcome. Now, this episode, are we living in a matrix or a simulation? Very big concept to mention and get your head around. And it's been something I've been wanting to present for a while. And so I went delving into the research, and there is so much. It's a bit like a rabbit hole or a wormhole. And some of it is in scientific speak, and some of it is more what we can understand, and there is so much. So I've delved in and tried to compact it, and here it is in a nutshell, which is not much of a nutshell because you crack open the shell and there is a whole different world. And don't forget, if you do like this episode, please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet, so you won't miss out. Subscribe and press the notification bell so you won't miss out. So, simulation theory, as it's called, and it's getting to be more well known. Now, there are a lot of people who don't know anything about this, and some people think it's just science fiction. But once you start delving in, you find some of the top researchers and physicists are actually researching and really believing it and promoting it and actually researching it really to find out what it is. And all of this does link back to quantum physics. And another thing is scientists have been looking at the world and wanting to get into things, to get to the very basis of things, and they find that we're all made up of atoms. And atoms are all made up of electrons and protons. And when they try to find out what they're made up of, it looks like they're bits of information. And so that becomes an energy field. And so everything around us, including humans, are basically fields of energy, which is why we can vibrate and give out energy and attract things, which is more understandable if we are living in a simulation. Because, like a computer game, everything is energy. Even Elon Musk actually says that there is 1 in a billion chance that we are not living in a simulation. And researchers are finding that when we started with computer games, it was very basic. And now they have developed through the years to be something that's really so advanced that it's almost an alternative reality. We're almost in the game, especially if you put on those reality glasses. So with that technology, now this is one side of thought that in decades to come, if not years, we will be able to develop reality games and simulations so well that we won't be able to tell the difference. I mean, there's even talk of uploading your consciousness into these games or these computer structures. But that's a different video, and that's way down the track. Now, but however, they are saying that maybe we are in a simulation which is an ancestor simulation, because our children, our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren have developed so much that they've actually made a simulation and created this world of the past. So this is basically a simulation in the future, if you can get your head around that. And that's what they're saying with that theory. There's another theory that this is a simulation, that we're all inside it, and who's operating it? That's the big question. Is it operated by aliens? And there's the theory that it is our future generations that's operating it. Some people from the religious side say it's gods and angels operating it. And there's others that will say it's just consciousness. So there's a few different routes of it. And there's also one theory that we are all AI, really, and we are just the computer players in the game. And there's another theory that we are actually outside the simulation playing ourselves, so to speak. And that brings in reincarnation. Like, we play the game and then we use our bodies up, so to speak, like old age, and then we leave the game and then we come back. And it's interesting how there is references, and it's sort of like making sense with ancient religions like Tibetism, Hinduism, Buddhism. They do have references to a situation of a simulation. Of course, they use different words for it, like heaven and consciousness to represent it. And again, referring it to a computer game, the way computer games work, because to get a really advanced 3D image of a computer game, rendering the playing field, so to speak, they use optimization techniques. So they don't use so much energy. So when you're playing the game, what you see, the computer will fabricate it right in front of you. So you can see the playing field in front of you and the castle and the people in front of you. However, beside you, there is nothing because you're not looking there. So it doesn't need to show you anything. But if you turn your head, you're looking over there, then it will make the view for you and will put the other houses there. But once you turn back, they will vanish because it saves energy. And you may have seen that in a few different shows, a bit like maybe the Truman Show as well, where they quickly build the scene because that is where he's walking. And a bit of a true story. Louis XIV of France built his palace, Versailles, and he built these gardens with these elaborate fountains. However, the water pressure wasn't that good. And so he would actually have men turning on different taps to the fountains wherever he walked. So if he walked to the south, there would be men directing the water to those fountains, and those fountains would be on, and water will be flowing. And then he'd walk around the corner to the other side, and there'd be men quickly turning on the water over there. So the fountains would start operating there, and then the other ones would turn off to conserve the power and also the water, because there wasn't enough water pressure to operate all the fountains at once. So to Louis XIV, when he was walking around the gardens, it looked like all his fountains were on and operating. So that is basically the same with computer games. Wherever you look, there is that screen right in front of you and whatever is happening there. And that is what they are saying in our simulation as well, that certain things will be rendered when we look at them, which comes to Schrodinger's cat, and the double slit experiment, how they change when you actually look at them. And it's very similar to us, which is why we think we are living in a simulation. And it explains certain things like that, that things are optimized for our observance. And as they say in the computer world, render that which the observer is watching. So what do you think? And with computer technology and games, there are bugs and glitches. Glitches in the matrix. And we think the strange things that happen in life are the glitches in the matrix. Glitches in the simulation. Like ghosts, for example. Are they a glitch, or have they found a window between the different realms? Because there's also the talk of sharing the same space. Like, again, in a computer game, someone will play a game and it has the same scenery of the playing field and the castle in the distance and the well over there. And someone else can play the same game and it would be the same setup. The castle in the distance and the well on the side and your playing field. But different people are playing using those setups. However, if there is a glitch, maybe you can start to appear on the other person's scenario, so to speak. And is that an explanation for time slips? How houses will appear out of nowhere. People have walked down the road early in the morning and saw a house and thought they'll go and visit it later on. And then on the way back, the house is not there. What has happened? Is that a glitch and someone's setup has come through into your setup, into your simulation? And is that the same with ghosts? Because there is a train of thought that we are, there are different layers and different civilizations inhabiting the same places. Now, some of you will think this is crazy, but they do say there are people or beings already living on the moon and on Mars and the other planets. Of course, in our physical realm, we can't see them. But if you're able to merge into the other realm, you would. It's a train of thought. And of course, some people will say this is really, what have I been taking? Or what have they been taking to come up with these ideas? And that's the same with the esoteric and the ghosts. Like psychics will say there is such a thin veil between the two areas, between ghosts and humans. But are they really ghosts? Maybe they're beings in another simulation and they can actually cross over at certain points. A bit like Halloween, when they say the doors are open and the spirits can come back during Halloween. What do you think? Then we have the Mandela Effect. And that is that back in the 90s, some people have heard that Nelson Mandela had died. And then they were surprised that he was actually still alive. And we think, or they think, that things have changed in the simulation or changed in the matrix. And he is now alive. And apparently that's happened a few times to quite a few people, where people remember one thing and they will swear it happened one way. And people have told them no, and they can say that it obviously wasn't what's happened. I've actually been through a situation like that as well, where I thought a particular politician had died, and then years later I found out he hadn't died, and I thought, that's a bit strange. So that's the Mandela Effect, where you're pretty sure things were one way and then it's changed. And people say they've changed the matrix, the simulation. And that it is only explainable if we are living in a simulation. And also, what about hypnosis? That's a very interesting one, because under hypnosis, people have really done extremely different things. Simple examples, like speak a different language where they have no idea what the language is, and they're being able to speak the language fluently. And there's also, under hypnosis, they've been able to recall things that they would never had any idea of what it was. That's just a brief example. Hypnosis can unlock so many things, but what is happening there that we can actually take on different things, different languages? Is it hypnosis is overriding the programming, and that is the subconscious programming that because it can really change people's personalities. Hypnosis can make people think differently, act differently, and the subconscious is something that regulates things that keep you going, like your bodily functions, for example, the heartbeat, the breathing. We don't have to think about that. That is automatic, and the subconscious does control a lot of bit of things. Like in some of my past episodes, I've mentioned how the subconscious will attract things to you. And if it attracts things you don't like, you've got to change the subconscious. Is hypnosis overriding the subconscious and tapping into something else? It's getting that through the simulation. And there's also that collective consciousness where people or minds can tap into that collective consciousness, bring down knowledge. Like a lot of writers will say they've written the story, and then someone else on the other side of the world will turn up with a very similar story. It's that because the first writer has put the idea into the collective consciousness and the other writer has tapped into it, thinking it's his own imagination, or vice versa. Maybe the other writer actually thought of it first, and this writer thought he had, but he'd actually got the idea from the collective consciousness. What is that? And that means that there is a field going around. What do you think about all of that? I'd like to read your comments below. Put your comments below and let me know. So, if you've found this episode interesting, of value, tell your friends and share it and click the like button. It also will help the channel to grow. And don't forget, subscribe so you won't miss out, and click the notification bell as well. And that way you'll be notified when I do bring out the other episodes. And don't forget, have a look at our links down below. Go browsing. Have a look at our online spiritual store that we're affiliated with, the Psychic Tree, and you can get things at reasonable prices with worldwide reasonable shipping, and you get 10% off your first order. And if you want, you can also buy me a drink. The links are below. It'll help me and help the channel as well. So I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you stay around for my other episodes, because I'll bring a lot more to see, are we in the Matrix or a simulation? And also, I do delve on spiritualism and the paranormal, because I think they are all related, and quantum physics will have the answer. So, until next time, stay well and happy. I look forward to seeing you soon.